Okay. Do you want me to clap?
If you don't want to
Sure.
sing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chancellor, thank you for talking to us today. We know that GDP is up by 0.7%, but for me and I think for many people, the surprising thing to an extent and the big thing is GDP per capita, per head, is now back up to the pre-crisis levels. What does that actually mean for people?
Well, these figures show that Britain is motoring ahead and our economy is producing as much per person as ever before. But there are clear risks out there in the world economy, from the Eurozone to Asian stock markets. So it's more important than ever before we stay on the road that we've set out on.
But it's taken a long time, hasn't it? That road has been kind of long and winding, to borrow your analogy. And now we're back there. People still are struggling to feel it actually in their pockets at the moment. So when's that going to come to an end?
Well, of course it's the case that when you have a huge crash, a great recession as we did 5 or 6 years ago, people feel that and it takes a long time for the economy to recover. But because working with the British people, we've stuck to a clear plan, we've got to this point today, which is quite a significant milestone in recovery with GDP per capita equal to its pre-crisis level. And look, going forward, there's more we can do to support great manufacturing businesses like this one we're in here, Norton Motorcycles. More we can do to make sure people see higher wages through our new national living wage. More we can do to rebalance our economy so this part of the country, the East Midlands, grows as well as the South and the City of London. So lots more to be done, but good news that we've come this far.
Yeah, because in a sense you've set up my question, which is manufacturing relatively weak again in these numbers. A lot of it is services. Again, there's that kind of, there's the regional disparities. You did come into office saying you wanted to rebalance the economy, and you've had one term, and it's not really rebalanced at all, has it?
Well, I don't accept that. If you look over the last year, production as well as services have been growing strongly, and even in today's figures, production is up 1%. But I also accept there's much more to be done. And look, dealing with decades of imbalance in the British economy is not something that can be solved overnight. But if you look at our plans for the Northern Powerhouse, look at how we're investing here in the Midlands, look at what we're doing, for example, setting up a new academy for the motorcycle industry, which didn't really exist in this country a few years ago, but is now back here creating jobs and apprenticeships. You can see we've got that plan to create firmer foundations going forward.
You're just back from Paris and you've been starting, this is the start of the technical negotiations that will conclude in the referendum on the EU membership. How are they going at the moment?
Well, look, I think if you would ask me a year ago, would we get to a position where all other member states of the EU accept that Britain is right to start this renegotiation, that there's going to be, of course, a referendum and they want to engage positively with us, you would have said that's pretty unlikely. So I think we've made a good start. But of course it's going to be a hard negotiation. I think people need to understand this. It's central to our economic plan. This is not just some add-on that the government is negotiating our position in Europe. We need Europe to be successful and competitive for all its citizens, particularly our own here in Britain. We need to make sure Britain has a fair relationship with the Eurozone as the Eurozone integrates. And actually, having just come back from Paris, you do hear from French politicians now a much more positive response to that than you would have done even 6 months ago.
Do you feel, actually having been there, do you feel like the euro crisis that we've seen recently, the resumption of it, do you think that's now put to bed for the time being?
Well, look, I still think there are some big questions about whether Greece can implement this plan that's been imposed on it, but we've clearly passed that moment of maximum risk a couple of weeks ago when it looked like Greece wouldn't be able to make its repayments to the ECB, could fall out of the euro in a disorderly way. I'm not saying those risks are not going to re-emerge, but we go into the summer in a calmer place than we were, say, just 3 or 4 weeks ago.
So you think the euro will survive?
Look, I've always thought there's a huge amount invested in the success of the euro by our colleagues on the continent. And Britain, did not choose to join the euro, and I'm very, very much in favour of us staying out of the euro.
Grateful to Gordon Brown for making that decision.
Well, I remember a young William Hague was pretty crucial in that argument. But look, it's really important that we continue to see success in the Eurozone. It's a huge export partner of ours. These bikes are sold into the European continent, and if the European continent's not successful, then you won't have the jobs here in the East Midlands. So we need the whole of Europe to succeed, and that's what the EU reform is about.
Okay, Chancellor, before we finish, I have to ask, given that we have all these bikes here, have you ever ridden a motorcycle yourself?
Yeah, about 20 years ago, but...
How'd it go?
Well, it's quite an experience, but...
That sounds almost euphemistic. It went okay, though?
Yes, no, I'm, all in one piece.
Okay. All right, Chancellor, thank you very much.
Thanks very much.